Today we're here with a very special guest. I've known this guy for almost 7 years now. I've known him since middle school, but we really got close, I want to say, freshman year of high school. And without further ado, I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks then for bringing me on. My name's Aditya Sheth. I'm currently a junior at Indiana University, and I'm majoring in finance and accounting. As Zaid said, I met Zaid, I'd say, I knew about him in middle school, but we really didn't get close. I didn't really start talking to him until, I think, the first year of varsity, honestly, when he was a sophomore and I was a junior. Ryan, I've met in middle school when he was in 7th grade. We had a couple overlapping friends, so I knew him in middle school, and then we got really close throughout high school, being on the same varsity basketball team.
Yeah, so I asked kind of everyone this. Obviously, you go to Indiana University, you're a third year. Yeah. Kind of just talk about, your goals, kind of 5 to 10 years in the future, what you want to do after college, kind of what you're doing now, and yeah, anything you want to share.
Sure. Yeah, right there, as I said, I'm majoring in finance and accounting. I think right now I'm definitely looking in the diverse areas. What Ryan said on Aiden's podcast kind of stuck out to me because he was saying how you shouldn't limit yourself to one specific track, even though if you're super passionate about it, that could be great, but kind of opening yourself up to different ventures is something that's really valuable. That's something I'm doing right now. During my freshman year summer, I had a real estate investment internship, and I've been kind of drawn to the real estate investment side of finance, so I'm definitely interested in that. I'm also interested in corporate finance as well, so looking in roles between the two, as well as investment management. So those 3 areas I'm recruiting for right now, and I want to build a career ultimately in one of those areas. I think these final 3 semesters of college will really help me do so, prepare for my career.
For sure.
Yeah, and I appreciate the shout out, It's good to know that we have a lot of guys tuning in, viewers, but yeah, just to kind of go back to the overall point you made, I think that's a really important thing for people to know, because obviously being our age, we're all 20 right now, it's normal to not know what you want to do, and it's completely normal to be interested in a bunch of different areas and kind of want to learn as much as possible and kind of make that decision for yourself once you get there. And I think obviously you touched up on the experience you had. It's good that as you're starting to get older, you're narrowing it down. But again, I think you've done a very good job of diversifying yourself in multiple different areas and being able to learn skills from each of those, because there's a lot of overlap, and especially in the finance industry.
For sure.
There's a lot of things that you're going to learn through different areas like real estate, corporate finance, and obviously a lot of the people that you're probably working for have probably most likely worked in a lot of different areas of it as well, and I think that's probably helped you out a lot and definitely assisted you in your recruiting journey as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just to kind of head on to that, obviously you touched on the real estate experience, also corporate finance. You also mentioned investment management and stuff with those financial institutions. Where do you ultimately see yourself heading into after that? And just kind of to expand upon what you mentioned earlier, what kind of drew you towards those from the first place, coming into college, and how do you see that playing out further down the road?
Yeah, I think, I can just take it from a high level. Kind of going into college, I didn't really know, what I really wanted to do. And, I had during, I think my sophomore year summer, I took part in kind of an entrepreneurship competition with my other friend, Severe. And we had a really good time doing that. And we had to come up with our own idea, basically pitch it to these professionals. And I really had a great experience doing that. So naturally, that kind of led me to pursue business. And then from there, I was looking through different fields. And I think finance and accounting really stick out to me because I'm a pretty analytical person. And I like dealing with, various numbers and managing someone's money. You have to be super analytical in general. So I think that was a field that was a natural fit for me. And I think within finance, there's not just 1 or 2 fields. It's a really broad range. Mm-hmm. So I think within real estate, I got attracted to it because it's really a dynamic field. And the experience that I had originally 2 years ago, it was a role where I came in as an intern, but I had a real great sense of autonomy. They trust me to manage their his money to invest in different projects across the United States, and that's something I was really grateful. I thought that was a great experience by the end of it, and I think going forward, I'd definitely like to be in a role where I can make my own decisions and I have good sense of control of my power.
All right, so you talk about wanting to have autonomy in whatever you do, and like your kind of your future career. And I feel like that's a really important part for me too, because I feel like I want to be able to be in control of my own, almost like destiny or fate on like a larger scale, but even on an individual day, be able to decide like what I want to do, what I think is important.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a really good big thing. And you talk about, that kind of goes hand in hand with what you were talking about entrepreneurship too, where you said you were kind of drawn to it because you got to make decisions, you got to, decide what goes into the business or whatever. And I was kind of wondering, from your perspective, do you want to go into entrepreneurship in the future? Is that something you see yourself doing? Would you want to like start your own business one day, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, that's something I have to decide like down the line.
Mm-hmm.
I think definitely as a side business that could be huge. Like my dad, he has his own entrepreneurship side business and it's going well. So I think definitely, having a stable career first and then opening up to, once you build that experience, you kind of know how everything works. And then, maybe having a side business, I think that would be really beneficial for anyone.
Yeah, I feel like, but for me, I just keep going back and forth between like, kind of wanting to get like my hands on, or kind of like my feet in the water and getting experience with like, an actual like established company versus like me trying to like do various like entrepreneurial things, like kind of creating my own business. And it's like a kind of a hard balance because you only have so much time, so you have to kind of figure out what do you want to like go all in, because I feel like you kind of do have to go all in to be successful in something. So it's like, do you want to go down that route of working for a company, working there for a long time, working your way up, or kind of going your own route and starting your own thing? So that's something I've been dealing with.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I actually do disagree slightly with the point you make, just in the sense that entrepreneurship, or like the idea of being an entrepreneur, can have a lot of different definitions. And like, obviously if you have a great idea for a startup and you're trying to build it and scale it, you're probably gonna need a full-time commitment like you said. But I also think there's a lot of other things, like for example, you starting the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Or us saying, oh, let's start a podcast and try to pump out a bunch of episodes, put content out. That I feel like has a lot of entrepreneurial spirit on its own, where you're trying to take things that are separate from what you're doing on your main career and building towards something with a completely separate goal. And a friend of mine, I'm not going to specify too many of the specifics, but he got a return offer as a financial analyst for a big, you probably know what I'm talking about, at a big tech company. And he said the reason he did that when he probably could have gone other routes was for the work-life balance that you have. And not, just because of like, PTO and vacation opportunities. He said that if he's working about 7-8 hours a day, he's going to have a lot more time working on his own stuff, putting effort into his own ventures, because he one day has the goal of starting his own company and building that out once he's in the position to be able to do so. So I think there's a lot of different ways it can be approached. Obviously, we're all young and we have a lot of time right now. Once we get full-time jobs, hopefully, it'll be a little less limited, but I do think there's a lot of ways you can work around a lot of that stuff, and it's ultimately up to where you see your passion is and how that all kind of plays out with the amount of time you have. So
For sure.
I agree.
You obviously you went to Indiana University, which is pretty far from here. I feel like or even going into or coming out of high school, I feel like no one really or none of us especially knew what Indiana was like. And I just kind of want to talk to you about like what were the emotions going through your head, obviously when you applied, when you got in, and then when you decided to commit to Indiana. Were you kind of fearful of not knowing anyone, not knowing what the culture was like, or were you more excited about starting a new life for yourself in a way? And yeah, just like what was your thought process just behind the whole thing, moving in and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say it was a mix of both. I was definitely excited that I was going there, and then also again really nervous that around completely new people, you have to basically start all over again and make new friends. But I'd say when I first got in, I was extremely excited. I took a tour. I actually got into IU, Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and Purdue. So I did those 3 tours. And then I think IU just stuck out to me because for a variety of reasons. I think the business school is really great. It's good in a variety of fields. And then the campus, it's a beautiful campus. And then the sports, it's great as well. So I think as a school, it's really well balanced overall. But kind of managing my emotions and going in, being from California and going to an out-of-state school, it was something that I had opened it's something that opened up my mind to, like kind of during my whole college application process. And I think, it's something similar to what Aiden said on the last pod. Kind of being in Irvine is kind of like a bubble. So I think I kind of want to escape that a little bit and meet some new people. And a lot of my friend group now there, it's 2 people from Chicago, 1 from New Jersey, 1 from California, 1 from Texas. So you're getting like everyone across the U.S. And I think that's really great because you're seeing everyone's perspectives, see how they grow up. Like they all have different, unique personalities. And I think that's something that's really cool going to a big school like that. You meet a ton of different people you could click with, not click with, but it's somewhere that you can find yourself and grow for 4 years.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't really speak to that experience because I stay in California, but with the idea of a big school and just the culture behind it, it's so much different than being here in Irvine. And I feel like we all have like unique, different personalities, but at the end of the day, we grew up in the same environments, had most of the same experiences. Like we pretty much all played basketball, like had almost the same academic experiences. So there's not that much of that outside perspective, and it can be real different going to just any other place, especially like a big school like Indiana or USC or SDSU. Like these are all really big schools, so you're bound to meet so many different people. But I think that's something that's beautiful about it is because there's so many different people from different backgrounds, different personalities, different cultures. You're bound to meet a lot of people that you click with, and I'm glad to hear that it's gone well so far. And yeah, to kind of switch gears a little bit off the topic of college and careers. If you saw the last video, you would know this, but Aditya is vegetarian. So kind of walk us through what your diet consists of and how you're able to stay so like healthy and fit in a way that's kind of seen as unconventional here in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it's, I think there's a lot of stereotypes of being vegetarians like difficult, and it definitely is, I'd say so, if your diet isn't kind of catered to what a vegetarian diet. But I think for me, being Indian American, a lot of Indians are vegetarian because the diet, a lot of Indian dishes are vegetarian, and I think just growing up in an Indian household, my mom's vegetarian and my dad eats chicken, but at home it's just straight vegetarian food. And I think growing up, I just kind of got accustomed to just eating vegetarian food, just rice, there's totally different, everyone's probably seen, but like if you had Indian food, there's totally many curries, there's masalas, there's a ton. But in Indiana, I'm on a meal plan there, but I try to get as much tofu as possible. I think tofu is a great source of protein. And honestly, just staying away from kind of, as everyone here I think eats really well, but staying away from sugars and just bad food, I think in general, has made me pretty disciplined. So in a way of saying, I think being vegetarian started has made me pretty disciplined in being away from my mother's cooking. I think it just worked out.
Yeah. I think especially in America, because of like all the like processed meat options you have, I feel like for the average like American diet, like being vegetarian can be pretty healthy just because you're avoiding like all these like terrible foods like you go to like McDonald's, have like a McChicken or something, or like getting a burger from Carl's Jr. is just like so bad for you. So I feel like it's easy in a way of that sort, but then it also just is like definitely a lot more effort that you got to put into like your meals like day in and day out kind of. But on that note, we did obviously Ryan talked about the video and we got to do that cooking challenge.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what challenges or like video ideas would you want to see in the future or like even be a part of? And
Better be a part of.
Yeah. Me still be in Indiana. But
I'm just thinking. I think, Zaid, you're part of club basketball team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see like maybe a club basketball vlog, seeing how your team is, just that whole experience. I think that would be a fun video. I don't know what else. I think the cooking video was I think that was a great video, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think maybe another video like that, maybe kind of another interactive video with another like 6 to 8 guys.
Yeah.
Maybe doing another different challenge. But Maybe I like the carnival video that you did.
Oh,
So like
yeah.
just be like super diverse. I think having a different variety and bringing a variety to the channel will only accelerate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to like chime in, obviously got the Tallow Organic shirt on, but maybe like a Santa Cruz-esque like type of challenge. Obviously, it doesn't have to be like the extent of like the locked in and that kind of stuff, but obviously, like we know a lot of people, we have a lot of people that would be willing to participate in something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're really creative. You'd be able to put something together, and I think it would be really funny. It would be really successful, and especially if you can get all of us on board, which obviously we will.
Yeah.
But something like that could do real, and who knows, maybe Santa will reach out.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's funny. It's funny you say that, the club basketball thing, because I was in the process of recording. We went to a tournament in CSUN, and I was in the process of recording that tournament. But unfortunately, the 2 games I was there, we lost both of them. So like the team sentiments were kind of like in the dumps. If you know what I'm saying? Like no one was that excited. There was nothing like great going on. Like I feel like at least won 1 game would be nice, like a good watch, but. Yeah, it didn't go too well, so I had to scrap that video. But then, like you were saying, I definitely just want to do more creative stuff. I feel like everything I've done has been kind of simple and easy. I feel like the biggest thing of me stepping out of my comfort zone was like the challenge. That was fun, definitely. But yeah, just doing like more like creative challenges and stuff like that. I just bought a new camera, so that's coming in today, so I'm excited for that. Stay tuned for that. Y'all see some good quality footage. But yeah, I guess my last thing is, so tomorrow you're doing a lot of things actually. You're leaving to go to Georgia to watch the Indiana-Oregon game. Then you're flying to SF, or I forgot why. And then you're going back to the other side of the East Coast, the East Coast to go to Indiana to start school on Monday, right? Yeah. So you got a packed week ahead. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
You excited?
Super excited to see the Hoosiers play in the Peach Bowl against Oregon. Super excited for that. Going with Aiden and a couple other my buddies as well. So that should be a great experience. I actually went to the Big Ten championship game where Indiana beat Ohio State. That was one of the best sports experiences of my life. So that was great. So looking forward to that. And then, just starting second semester, really kind of just staying locked in and ending it on a good note as I head towards senior year.
Yeah, and just staying on that topic, your dad went to Kansas State, and obviously you're a very big Chiefs fan. Yeah. And for everyone watching, I will vouch for him that he is not a bandwagon in any sort of way. Like he mentioned, we met in middle school. Yeah. First time I saw him was my 7th grade year, so 2018, in Patrick Mahomes' first year as a starter. Yeah. This dude was walking around campus wearing an Alex Smith jersey like 2-3 times a week. So it was real. Yeah. Obviously, big part of you. I just want to say, it wasn't the greatest season, but what's your outlook like, and more importantly, do you think the dynasty is over?
It's a great question. The season was really rough, and there was a multitude of issues I don't have to go fully into, but I think with Mahomes' injury, I think he'll be okay. Knowing the player that he is, you see legendary athletes respond from devastating injuries all the time. And I think, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is a legendary athlete, and he'll be back. I think he'll be back by week 4. And I don't think the dynasty's over. I think, if you looked at what similar dynasty the New England Patriots did years ago, when Tom Brady tore his ACL, it took 3 years, but with good drafts and making right roster moves and making correct trades, they bounced back and won 3 more championships. So I think a lot has to do with these next 2 years. If we're able to make the right moves, trade possibly Trent McDuffie, trade a couple of our guys and draft correctly, I don't think the dynasty's over. One bad year doesn't really define anything, and if I have full confidence he'll be able to bounce back.
Yeah, I'm not too tapped into football at all, but what was the injury?
He tore his ACL and his PCL.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty bad.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 30 years old.
Okay. That's it. I mean, we've seen people come back. I feel like, Katie was like 29, 30 when he tore his Achilles?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
These guys work hard.
Yeah.
I think he'll be back.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we're, approaching the end of our podcast, but I just like to wrap it up with like a question where we all go around and give our own unique answers. So the question for today is, what's one thing, event, or kind of sequence that happened at a time in your life that you originally thought was bad or unfortunate or like a negative thing, but then later on you realize that was actually good for you, or it had like a positive impact on your life. So it's kind of a loaded question, but
yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna need some time to answer that question. So Aditya, I got some rapid fire questions for you to answer in between while I think. One word or one phrase, and then I'll get to you. I'll get back to you.
Sure.
Okay. Describe the current state of the Lakers in one word.
Confusing.
Ideal city you see yourself starting your career in.
New York City.
That's a good one. My brother would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Favorite TV show, current or all time?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd say All American. In its prime, it was good. It was good.
Hey, what is that? The one about football?
Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no way. That's the best show ever.
In its prime.
No,
It's
that's
prime.
I don't really be watching TV.
Okay, and last one, an underrated or unconventional hobby that you have.
Oh. You know, I sang for 14 years.
You did. Hey, show the video up here.
Yeah. No, I sang for 14 years Indian classical music. That's been kind of something that people don't know about me, but it's something I've been dedicated to a lot of my life. And then kind of hand in hand, I've also played the viola for like a decade. So kind of music's kind of been in my background. People that probably don't know about me, but music's definitely a big part of my life.
Yeah, that's fire. Yeah, I
If you
played.
know.
Yeah. I played the piano for a while, so
Yeah,
I was just
nice.
gonna say that. But yeah.
If you know me, I'm not too musically gifted. I did vocals. I was pretty good at that. Some people said I'm tone deaf. I don't know. Like, you can believe me.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, back to the question. I would say this is kind of I don't know if I can quantify it as like true because it's a bit of a hypothetical, but I would say not getting into any of the East Coast schools I applied to. But in a way, it's a little bit of like a leading answer because the only East Coast schools I applied to were like obvious reaches, ones that I probably wasn't gonna get in.
Yeah.
But the main thing with that is I feel like I would have had a much more difficult time transitioning to college just because obviously I go to USC. I'm only about an hour drive away. So my first year, it was a lot of getting used to and like a lot of just new things, complete things that I really didn't expect. So I think being close to home, being able to go back home and reset, having my parents easily be able to drive up and visit, go out for a lunch on a Sunday afternoon. I think if I didn't have that and I was far away, it would have made it a lot more difficult, and I think I probably would have been homesick, for lack of a better term, and it may have interfered with my ability to get involved with school things or be completely focused on my academics.
Yeah.
And like admittedly, I definitely would have wanted to go to like some of those, like NYU was one of them, and my brother lives in New York, and I think that would have been sick if I would have been able to go out there. But honestly, in retrospect, I like it here a lot more, and I much prefer that this to something like that. And like just to top it all off, I can't do cold weather like at all. Like, anything below 60, I just can't. So that was definitely a blessing that I was probably upset at in the moment. But looking back, I'm really glad it turned out this way.
Yeah. What about you?
I can't think.
Yeah. All right. I'll go. Yeah. I would say mine is definitely not being able to play basketball in college at a school that I wanted. That was kind of like a goal of mine for like 2 years. I want to say like junior and senior year of high school. And that is part of the reason because I kind of started late in like looking at stuff like that. So it was kind of already bound to not really work. And I feel like I kind of grounded my identity in the basketball and like all like my confidence and stuff. And I don't really know like what else like I could do or be successful at. But I feel like not having that like and just kind of getting that college experience or whatever like really helped me find like who I am, what I like, what I think I can be successful in and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like now I'm playing like club basketball obviously, but it's much less of a time commitment and I have more time to focus on like the stuff I really love now. And I still obviously play basketball, but yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, I think mine kind of goes hand in hand. I think, looking back on it, I spent a lot of my time playing basketball as well. And my parents would kind of just come up to me and they were like, do you really think it was worth it at the end of it? And I was trying to answer that question because a lot of things I'd pass up on other opportunities instead of doing another extracurricular activity. It'd be basketball practice, and I think that applied to a lot, like basically all of us. Like basketball was a big part of our lives, and I think growing up, they asked me do you regret spending all your time on basketball? And I was like, I was kind of mixed, but I'd say for the most part no, because out of it you make some of the best friends of your life. You make these connections that'll last your whole life, and then I think it's just a simple way. Like when I'm in Indiana, just playing pickup basketball, it's a skill. Like oddly enough, it's a way to network and meet new people, and I think just being able to play, having the skill and being able to meet new people throughout my entire when I was a kid up until high school, meeting a ton of different people. It's been a super valuable part of my life, and I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. I mean, we probably wouldn't be here if we didn't all spend so much time playing basketball.
Exactly.
So.
And you learn, as cliche as it sounds, you learn so much from it.
Yeah.
There's so many, I know it's kind of a popular thing that sports are like the greatest metaphor for life, but there's a lot of specific instances where it's really true, and I think you can probably attest to that, or anyone who has played competitively or even not competitively, just been around, understand how it all works. There's so much to learn from it, and obviously we wouldn't be here, as you said.
Yeah. Alright guys, anyway, that just about wraps up our podcast here. We hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ah.